Hello, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Limitless Landscapers Podcast. I'm Paula Warman, your host, as always. And today I'm talking about some real life crap that happens. And it's two pain points that have become apparent to me, probably to you as well as you've been going along. And I just wanted to share. So if you're interested in what those two pain points are, head on over to the show. As the co-founders of the Landscaper Circle, we help you get more money, time and freedom to become limitless through our experiences as fellow landscapers and our tried and tested methods. If you want help with your marketing, managing or growing your business, you've definitely come to the right place. If you're a landscaper, garden designer or supplier to the industry, then hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show. Hello, lovely people. How are you doing? How's business? How's life? Always interested over here. It's been quite, an unusual time. I've just come out of surgery last week, so this is my first week officially back to work. All is fine, but now just getting into the swing of things with, work, clients, etc. A couple of things have happened this past week which have been funny, but also have highlighted two major pain points in the business, and for me, the landscaping business mainly, and for some of my clients that I speak to over in TLC, the Landscapers Coach. And it's something I wanted to share with you guys because it will probably resonate, and you can probably feel like you're not alone, and perhaps potentially it will just make you feel a little bit better about yourself and your business. So, number one, my main gripe right at this moment is client expectations. I cannot deal with the level of client expectations, and I'll tell you a story that recently happened. So, we charge for site visits. Now, if you don't already charge for site visits as a landscaper, I highly urge that you do. Now, the initial inquiry went something like this. So an inquiry came through via the website, which means they've seen my website. So they see what we do. If you look in our FAQs, we explain all about what the initial consultation fee or site visit charge consists of, how much it is, and what it covers. Now, I had this email inquiry and then via the website form, and it was about garden design, and they were local and they wanted their garden design. Great, fantastic. So I contacted them back, had an email correspondence with them as well as a phone call with the wife. Now, the email correspondence went something along the lines, I do have a template, which we all should have in our businesses if you're thinking about how to make your life easier. I have a templated response to inquiries. So it went along the lines of, thank you for inquiring with Aura Landscapes. We can definitely help with your garden design projects. The way we work with our clients is as follows. And I explained the fact that we book an initial consultation to discuss their ideas, their vision, and to assess the garden with a site visit. This costs £54. Following that, they will have a quote for a design service that's bespoke to them, and or a build quote, depending on where, how they want to go. So the guy then responds and says that, well, why do we charge a site visit fee when no other landscaper does in this area? And, quite rightly, maybe no other landscaper in this area does charge a site visit fee, but we do. And the reasons are, I value my time, I value our knowledge, mainly Mike's knowledge, and I don't see why we shouldn't charge a site visit fee when we are getting a lot of inquiries at this time of year. I explain that the site visit covers the time spent with the client at the site visit, and if they have a quote, it will cover the bill quote. So again, it's a loss leader. I've explained this before on the podcast. We make no money. It's not a profit driven exercise. It's not expensive. It's merely a chance for me to filter out the good clients from the bad clients, the ideal clients from the non-ideal clients. And essentially, it's almost like a goodwill gesture that they're actually quite interested in what we have to do and they understand. I also mentioned in said email response that we were the most expensive landscaper. So as he was getting other quotes, we would most definitely be the most expensive. So don't feel pressured or obliged to book in with us as we go. Nope, he wanted to. He paid the site visit fee and Mike conducted the site visit. The site visit was 2 hours instead of the usual 45 minutes to an hour. And at the end of it, we realized that they wanted a specific type of garden that needed to be designed. They wanted things such as sunken seating, fire pit area, a planting scheme, etc. So not a basic rectangular patio, not a basic driveway where you can measure and give them a rough ballpark price. They wanted a lot of different features. And in fact, following the visit, we had emails with their images of things that they loved. So it gave us a good idea of the type of garden they wanted to create, the style, etc. So we went back to them with a cost for a bespoke design service. And that's when it all went wrong. And this is the thing about client expectations, because this client expected a lot more than the £54 is worth. So he expected, because he was very angry. He was angry that I had not provided him with a quote. Well, as I explained to said client, unless we have a scale drawing with every item cited and dimensions and finished wall heights and levels, etc., how the hell are we supposed to quote a garden like that? The initial inquiry was for a garden design, not a build quote. And all the images they sent, it was a very detailed, specific type of garden. So it wasn't just a standard, as I kept repeating, not just a standard rectangle patio of 10 by 10 or whatever it might be. It was lots of different areas, lots of different features, a definite style. So they need a scale drawing and a plan. Ideally, they need a garden design and a planting plan, of which we gave them the cost to do ourselves, or we said to them, if you provide any of that, we will provide a quote for you. However, not only was that unexpected, the absolute angst that this guy had with me over charging a site visit fee was insane, because he was absolutely appalled that I told him we were too expensive. Again, in all my sales training and all my time spent running businesses, I've always prided myself on being super transparent. So I'm not one of these bullshit sales people. I don't lie. I try and be as transparent as possible, hence why I tried to set out and manage his expectations from the start, hence why I told him I was most expensive from the start, hence why I told him that the design package is bespoke and would need quoting for before any kind of build quote could be prepared, unless he had a drawing himself that we could provide a quote from. Yet, despite all of that, despite me, reiterating everything that was in my original emails, he was still angry because he ultimately felt that I'd robbed him of £54 and I'd completely upset him in doing so, because he did not expect a design to cost in excess of £600. Again, it's another gripe of mine, so maybe I should have had 3 gripes here, but it's the fact that no one expects landscaping or design. They see no value in it. They want it, but they don't want to pay the money for it, and they do not see the value. They do not, when you get an electrician in, and I'm not slating these trades at all, they're amazing, but you get a plumber, electrician in, people just pay the money because they need the work done, and they see the value, I suppose, in having light, hot water, heating. Whereas when it comes to landscaping, they want everything, but they very rarely want to pay the money because they do not see the value in it. And I just find it completely irritating, especially as this guy just felt so angry, even though I had set out what he could expect. So I tried my best to manage his expectation. And the moral of this story is, no matter how much you try to manage customer expectations, sometimes their expectations just far outweigh anything we could have imagined. I have offered this gentleman a refund of the £54 because, quite frankly, I don't want to provide a quote for him because he is not the kind of client I want to work with going forward. So my point is, no matter how much you try to manage client expectations, I feel that at the moment they are exceedingly high, that they don't understand the value of design. They don't understand the value of choosing a landscaper over, a general builder. And they often see our services as far too expensive, yet they've put a bloody extension on the house, which costs hundreds of thousands, but they see no value in us laying exquisitely designed and executed garden landscape for them. Another story I want to share with you is, again, client expectations. We had another client, a beautiful property, obviously contacted us via obviously I say, but a lot of our clients come through via our website, had contacted us through there, and it was basically a job gone wrong. So they'd had someone out to lay their paving, and they'd done it poorly to the point where they couldn't open their patio doors because the paving was too high and it breached DPC. So they'd obviously contacted us because they needed it done properly, and they'd seen that we are a high quality, reputable landscaper who has extensive knowledge and experience in using and laying porcelain. So they contacted us and we went to see them, and we explained everything, how we'd do it. We sent them a quote, and guess what? We're too expensive. Now, just again, what do they expect? If they'd paid properly the first time, they probably wouldn't need to pay us to do it a second time. So question that. I am fuming in a couple of ways lately with clients because they expect cheap, but when they pay cheap and get it wrong, they don't expect to pay twice. They want to pay too cheap twice, if that makes sense. So I feel like this guy is hoping he's going to get another cheap price. Well, guess what? He's probably going to have a shit garden laid poorly and with problems. The only thing I can say is manage those client expectations as best you can, like I do, with templates that you send out explaining the process. So when you do get things like this, that you can manage it just as I did by reiterating the fact that he knew all of this before he went into it. His eyes wide open instead of firmly shut. And essentially what I've tried to do throughout my website is convey the fact that we are expensive. Now, the first customer who I told you about, he saw that as a slight, like it was awful that I dared to be the most expensive, and told him that as if I didn't want the job. Well, no, quite frankly, it's not that I don't want the job. I don't want the wrong client. So someone who sees me as expensive and is happy with that is the ideal client. Someone like himself who saw us as me being expensive to put him off, he's absolutely right, because obviously we were a pricing exercise for this particular person, and he was never going to use us in the first place. What he wanted was as much as he could get for as little money as possible. He didn't even want to pay design fees, which is just blows my mind when you have a dream for a garden to look a certain way with fantastic features in it. You need a design, you need a plan. As we say, failure to plan, plan to fail, essentially. But what I've tried to do throughout the website is not only convey that I'm the most expensive, but also I have FAQs which answer the questions I get asked by my clients. So what does the site visit cover? How much is the site visit? Do I get it taken off my design fee? No, you don't, because I've already spent hours with you at that first consultation. I say it's the royal I or the royal we. We've already spent that time with you at the initial consultation, and you should pay for that. Again, that's another gripe of mine. Maybe I should have just gone like 5 gripes, because as I'm going, I'm finding more and more things that make me angry. The other thing that makes me angry that links to this client expectation is, how the hell can you sell a site visit fee if everyone else does it for free? It means that they are not valuing their time. It means that they make you look like, well, I don't mind what they make me look like, because ultimately I just say, well, I value my time. I refuse to go places and do it for free because it's time, and time is money. And why shouldn't you get paid a site visit fee? In fact, we should be doubling our site visit fees, the amount of time we spend with clients, and then on their quotes, which, as you fellow landscapers will know, it's not a quick thing. It takes days to pull together a good quote and specification of works for a client, yet they all expect this for free. And the reason they expect this for free is because other landscapers do not like to charge, because they are too afraid that they are going to get turned down and they are not going to get the work. And I am here to tell you, if you are not charging a site visit fee, you damn well should be. to help manage the client's expectations, to increase the value, and to increase the value of landscaping and design as a whole. Yes, and as if confirmed, I just had to pop off then, but I just come back on after receiving a further email from the first client I was talking about. And in fact, there were 5 landscapers that were providing a quote, and all of them offered, bar one, a free design service. Yes, free design service with a full 3D package. It's seriously exasperating. Can I just please, any landscaper that is listening to this and offering a free design service, honestly, what is wrong with you? It just, honestly, think about how it devalues the industry as a whole, because it's just unreal. How can you possibly do a free design for someone when it takes time to create that design? How can you even think that's good value? I just don't understand. I don't see how this is good for business one bit. So that is my major gripe. Think about the things you're doing. Is it good for business? Because I've just emailed this guy back saying he was adamant that he wanted to provide me with this full feedback so I could change the way I run my business, of which I said, thanks very much for the feedback. I won't be changing anything because, quite frankly, offering a free design service is not great business sense. It does not make for a good business. Secondly, just found out said guy has a building and tiling company. So do you really think any of these landscapes are going to get that work? I would bet my bottom dollar he's wasting everybody's time just to get a free design that him and the builder he knows and the company he owns can do themselves. So that was a good thing. That's the benefit of knowing when you are talking to your non-ideal client, but that I can save for another time and another podcast. Absolutely enraged about things like that. But anyway, the actual legitimate second thing I want to talk about pain point wise that's cropped up a lot lately is learning when to spend time on the business rather than in the business, and how you can ensure that happens on a consistent and regular basis. Because my massive gripe is the fact that this happens in my business a lot, I might add, is the fact that as soon as you go back on the tools, and this happens for Mike, he basically then has zero time to work on the business. So just last week, I had an operation, so I was out of action. So before I went for surgery, week before, we were getting back to quotes. Now, we had 14 quotes that I had to get sent out and done in this time. And the fact of the matter was, some of these quotes have been waiting quite a few weeks because Mike had been pulled back onto the tools. And therefore, the quotes had not been done. And it's very, very hard at the moment to book in a site visit with us because Mike is back on the tools. So therefore, trying to book in site visits is incredibly difficult when, one, I've been out of action. I still can't drive at the moment. So he's running the kids to all their after school activities and play dates and all the fun stuff that they get to do, as well as trying to help run the house and obviously do the work. So he's finding it a struggle. So essentially we are, not booking in lots and lots of site visits because we don't want to be back at that point where we've got 14 quotes to back up, not to mention the 5 designs that he's got backed up to do as well. So as, guys and girls in the industry, you understand the pressure. And my argument is this is not a new thing. This is a constant circular, how do you put it? Something that happens all the time. We create time to spend off the tools and in the business. So we create that time to put in systems, to work on the strategy of the business, to have meetings with guys and girls in the business. We make sure that site visits are 1 day a week and then not at the weekends. They don't impact on our evenings and our weekends. And then all of a sudden, something will happen. Maybe a job's overrun, someone's off on paternity leave, someone can't come in, they're off sick, whatever it might be. Mike is pulled into the business and all of that goes out the window. So we end up having work impact weekends, which it has been for the last 4 weeks. Every weekend he's been quoting new jobs. He's been seeing existing clients and essentially stacking up all of these quotes and most importantly, designs that have to be done. So now we have a backlog we've got all the quotes out, which is great. I think we've got 2 or 3 left to go. I now have another 2 days full of site visits that I've booked in for him in a couple of weeks' time. And he's also booked in himself some site visits as well, which is helpful because I obviously manage his diary and didn't know. So he's booked that in as well. And again, it just means that it's impacting on evenings and weekends because we are now typing up quotes in the evenings. He has booked in himself to see people at weekends. And I just feel that because we don't place enough time as business owners, place enough importance on the fact that you need to schedule time on working on the business and in the business, this is the risk you take, that you do this never-ending cycle of coming off the tools, working in a consistent fashion on your business. So you schedule what it looks like in an ideal world. You schedule your site visits for 1 day a week potentially, or maybe 1 day every 2 weeks, whatever. You block out your weekends for your own time, hobbies, family, friends, whatever. And then during the week, maybe you have an admin morning, afternoon, or an admin day, whatever that might look for you. But you schedule time to work on the business rather than in the business. The problem is if you don't boundary that, if you don't make it important to you and create boundaries around that time, what happens is then you begin to firefight and respond to problems like we are doing in our business. And essentially that time spent on the business diminishes to the point then where it starts impacting on your life and you start hating it. I'm having the same conversation with Mike that I was probably having 6-7 months ago, where he feels like all he does is work. It's not fun. He's not enjoying it. And so we begin again, trying to get him out and off of the tools for a couple of days a week, a day and a half a week, whatever it might be, and working on the business consistently. And this is, again, what I find with a lot of my clients. They really want to do the work. And the only thing that stops them is the fact that they end up getting dragged on to site, dragged on to the tools. And so therefore, they're just working really reactively. And I think this is just a reminder. Have you let yourself become reactive in your business? Do you get dragged back onto the tools when you know you should be working on that marketing strategy? You know you should be working on your recruitment strategy. You know you should be going on site visits and quotes so you can spend more time with your family in the evenings and at weekends. You might just think, do you know what? I'm getting really crap leads, so therefore I need to look at my website and lead generation, SEO, all of these things that we have to look at as business owners. But you need to ring fence time to spend on the business. And I would really seriously urge you to look at your diaries on a weekly basis and start ring fencing portions of time for working on the business. And also look at quotes and stuff, whether you can put them in 1 day rather than doing many, which means that your attention can flip. So if you're booking in, say, 1 a day or a couple on 1 day, 3 on another, 1 on another, it means that you're never fully getting into something because you're always being pulled out to go onto quotes. So it's just an important reminder that we do have time to do all of the things, and you do have time to work on your business. You've just got to do it consistently. And that means making sure you protect your time spent working on the business, stuff that will move the business forward. And relax. Yes, that is it. They're the 2, well, maybe 5 things that I've got gripes about this week in my business. I hope you've enjoyed it. I am currently running some free call offerings, winter prep, discuss how we prepare our businesses for winter or off season or whatever the hell you call it. I normally call it Christmas close down. So it's looking to prepare your landscaping business for that. I have 5 free calls available to have with me to chat about that, and also to chat about if being working with me on a one-to-one basis or within my new Up Level Your Landscaping Business mastermind would be a good fit for you. So if you want one of those calls and to find out more about working with me, please just send me an email, paula@thelandscaperscoach.co.uk, and we can schedule that in. Like I say, there's only 5. Once they're gone, they're gone. And if you're worried about winter already, maybe this is your, what's it called? Your sign to get in touch. Maybe this is your sign to make sure you're going to be ready for it this year, like we say every year, and maybe you're not ready for it. So get in touch. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I'll be back with you next week on the Limitless Landscapers Podcast. Bye.